Late one autumn evening, Emma moved into her new cabin deep in the woods, far from the nearest town. The isolation suited her. She had always preferred the company of nature over people. That night, as she unpacked her boxes, she heard a rustling outside. She dismissed it as the wind or a small animal and continued her work. The next morning, Emma noticed paw prints on the porch. Raccoons, she thought, shaking her head with a smile. She remembered stories of raccoons rummaging through trash, but here, in the heart of the forest, they had no reason to bother her. As days passed, the noises outside became more frequent and louder, scratching and thudding against the walls of the cabin. Each time she peered out the window, she saw nothing but shadows. One evening, the sounds grew so intense that Emma decided to confront whatever was causing them. Armed with a flashlight, she stepped outside. The beam of light cut through the darkness, revealing dozens of raccoons staring at her from the trees. Their eyes glowed unnaturally, reflecting the light with a malevolent intensity. They did not scatter as she approached, but instead seemed to close in, their numbers growing. Emma hurried back inside, bolting the door behind her. The raccoons began scratching at the door and walls, the sound echoing through the cabin. She felt a chill run down her spine. That night, she barely slept, her dreams filled with those glowing eyes. The following day, she noticed her food supplies had been disturbed. Containers were opened and items were missing. She had locked the door and windows, yet something or someone had gotten inside. The thought unsettled her. Determined to protect her home, she secured every entry point, but the nightly disturbances continued. One night, the power went out, plunging the cabin into darkness. Emma lit candles and sat in the center of the room, clutching a kitchen knife. The raccoons' scratching and thumping were louder than ever. Then she heard something new, a low, whispering chant, almost human but not quite. It seemed to come from all around her. Suddenly, the chanting stopped. Silence enveloped the cabin. Emma felt a presence behind her and turned slowly. There, standing in the doorway to her kitchen, was a raccoon, larger than the rest, with eyes that burned red like embers. It stood on its hind legs, its front paws outstretched, and in a voice that sounded both animalistic and disturbingly human, it spoke, "You are not welcome here." Emma screamed and lunged at the creature, but it vanished into the shadows. The other raccoons began to swarm, their glowing eyes piercing the darkness. She fought her way to the front door, threw it open, and ran into the woods, not stopping until she reached the safety of her car. She never returned to the cabin. The forest seemed to reclaim it, and locals spoke of strange happenings in the area, of lights and whispers in the night, and of raccoons with eyes that glowed like embers, warning intruders to stay away.